know.
Okay, it says we're live.
This meeting
Meeting
is
is being live streamed. Got it.
There we go.
being live streamed.
Nice. Oh, I never used to say that.
Still is not
Must be
showing up on your page.
Zoom update. Yeah, usually it should
Takes
show
a
up right
sec.
now.
Okay.
And there we go. I'm just gonna pause it.
Oh, whoa! Look at us go. Oh,
all
we're
right.
already streaming. This is
Hi,
people
everybody.
Are people are enjoying all of this part right now as well.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
As we get our S together.
Live and unfiltered from the depths of the internet. I don't know. We need a new intro.
Hi, Internet.
Hey, internet.
Jeremy's with us today. And so is
Woo!
Derek.
A long time.
Sorry. We're just gonna all talk over each other. Oh, did you guys both freeze or did I freeze? What a way to start.
Median time friend of the pod, Jeremy Baker.
Was I frozen
me.
that whole time?
You were
The
fully
whole
frozen
time.
the whole time. It
Ah.
was just
But Derek's a
your
pro, and he
big,
just took
beautiful
over.
frozen face. I was like, this is my time to shine, baby. Finally escaped
Yeah.
from Dale's shadow. We're going deep into how the podcast sausage is made here. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Learning streams on Facebook.
It's more than just a peek behind the curtain.
Jeremy, thanks for joining us again this week.
I'm so excited to be here.
How you been since the last time we spake?
It turns out I was briefly on episode 200, the 200th episode spectacular.
You were?
For those of you playing back and watching old episodes.
What are you talking about?
Everything.
Jeez Louise. I can tell these kids 47 times that I'm going to be doing a podcast,
Like-
go watch a show. And then it's like, nah.
It's fine. That's
Yeah.
life, right? And they'll still show up to they're like, this could be our big break if we like get in. It's like all those kids who got famous during the pandemic, just like wandering into the background of their parents' Zoom calls.
Yeah.
That's it.
But actually what we want is for the kids to put us on their YouTube feed so we can suck off their fame. Like now
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
exactly-
opposite. Of
Yeah,
what
they
it
just
was
think
during
it's
the
a good time to
pandemic.
ask for like a can of soda pop because it's going to be hard for me to say no.
You're just gonna be
Yeah.
I
like,
just be like,
yes.
just take whatever, just take my wallet and my Visa card and go. You know, they
Here's
know
the
that.
car keys. Get out of
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
How you been?
I've been good. I've been very
Yeah?
good. Yeah, it's been a good few days. I got fired on Wednesday, but then
I saw sorry about that. Their loss.
yeah, you know, it sucks, but then I've had a few days off, so it's been all right.
I had a question about that. That whole, what was it? H
D-
something?
HD.
HD peak.
Yep.
Is that done now or is that still going without you?
No, they're going to continue that. They're just going to continue it with no announcers.
Oh, so a cost cutting.
Yeah, like it
the
made
bean
it,
counters.
well, it made like $0, you know, so it was
Yeah.
it was challenging to have any workers. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I was gonna like, is that, and that seems to be kind of like a
okay, just
vibe.
give me 1 sec. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
You guys need to go into the other
Dale,
room.
how are you doing, man?
Awesome.
Are you looking forward to this? Because it's your future when we're trying to podcasting.
I
And you
am.
have little rugrats climbing up behind you,
Honestly,
being like, "Hey,
I'm going to exploit my kid. And if she walks into the shot, I'll just grab her and hold her up and I'll be like, now we can go on YouTube Kids. We're
Yeah.
going to be famous. And then
I-
I'm going to like that family that just plays with toys. And then like the
don't-
kid's like, I don't really want to play with this, dad. And then
I
they're
don't-
like, tough.
I don't know that child exploitation."
This is what happens with kids. You
Yeah, I
just
was just telling him. I'm like, Dale, this is your future, man.
gotta-
I don't know that child exploitation means you automatically get placed on YouTube Kids just
Well,
because
I
you have a
wouldn't
child
call it
in the video.
exploitation. I would call it child featuring content. And then I would, because whenever I upload this to YouTube, there's a little box. It's like, is this for kids? And I always have to click
Hi.
no.
Welcome
Hi.
to Outrage Factory.
Sorry, he wants to be on the show so badly.
Yeah,
And I-
that's cool. The
Alright.
more the merrier.
Yeah.
Does he have good opinions? What's his
What's your take?
hottest? What's your take? What's your hottest take right now?
What's your
What's
hot-
your
How
most
did the cow crap the street?
How?
Why?
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 You can't hear us,
We
but we're
have to
saying
go
why.
to the movie.
There you go.
Nice.
That joke, I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
gonna be
that's the content we
Okay,
crave.
You go watch
it's gonna be hard to top that for the rest of the episode. We
It
might as well
really-
just shut her
There
down.
it is.
It's all downhill from here. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, well, you know, Dale, I guess like they said, okay.
You know?
This is your future.
Okay, now if we don't swear for the rest of the podcast,
We
this is
can
going
say
on
our
YouTube
kids.
kids.
We could say
Yeah.
we're for kids. Is that where you think the money is on you? Because I think back to like when Noah was younger, and we would just like to keep him entertained. You just
Yeah.
put on like 8 hours of YouTube Kids,
Mhm.
and it's just like endless looping videos of the most like inane shit you could ever imagine.
Yeah,
and
super dumb.
yeah, but like there's
Oh yeah,
gotta
it's
be
definitely where the money is right now.
Oh, all
That's
those
where the
people are
money's at, right?
multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
And, you know, you guys are streaming for, you know,
Yeah.
people.
Like I asked my sister, I'm like, because she has a child, I think he's 8. Because I always watch kids cartoons. I'm not ashamed. And there's a new Star Trek show aimed at kids. And
Yeah.
I was like, does he watch Star Trek? She's like, no, he just watches YouTube. And I was like, what? Like to have all the stuff available when I was a kid, I would be losing my mind. But they just waste their time on YouTube videos and stuff.
And
And
well,
it's
there's
like,
some. The nice thing about YouTube is that it's like you can watch wherever the fuck you want.
mhm.
Like you want to watch, like Noah will watch like these influencers that do like stupid, I don't know, like games and stuff or like contests or like Jeremy, I'm sure your kids watch the same shit. And
Oh,
then there's
yeah.
like, it's like, oh, now I want to watch like 8 hours of sports highlights. So I'll do that. And it's like, oh, now I want to watch like Dude Perfect doing like stupid trick shots, and I can do that. And I want to watch like an instructional video on how to draw something, and I can do that. Like YouTube has like, it's just like stupid the amount of stuff that's on there, but
Mhm.
it's like there's something that caters to like kids' interests and attention spans, which are like 5 minutes long. So you
Yeah,
watch a
yeah,
5-minute video instead of being like, watch this half-hour show.
Yeah,
I guess
I mean,
it's-
I have a teenager. She watches all sorts of weird stuff. I try not to even ask. And then,
Yeah, it's better.
And-
It's
and
probably
then-
better if you don't.
and then, you know, 9-year-old watches other kids playing video games generally.
Nice.
And the 5-year-old watches the most just insane noises and sounds and blinking lights that I'm just like, wow. An adult made this, and you and I, like, you know, we always watch this stuff and we're like, man, this would be so easy to make, right? Like, I don't know how many times you've thought, why are you guys hammering it out with takes and fighting for attention when you guys could just make kids programming and retire millionaires tomorrow? But the amount of drugs that you would have
Yeah.
to do to put your brain in that space.
Oh
Like,
yeah, like
you
just
you break
how
even.
happy they look for like more than a minute at a time. I'm like, I'm out.
Well,
I
even
can't
like
be that happy for that.
the
long.
really bizarre ones where it's just like, I think I know what you're talking about, like the tactile ones where it's just like weird toys and it's got the like disembodied like lady robot voice, and she's like squishing things or doing like weird,
Sure.
just like weird stuff. I
Or
can't.
grown man wearing a whimsical outfit who's just really into excavators for 30 minutes straight. And you're like, you think, well, you're an idiot. Why don't you just get a job working construction? And then you forget that this guy makes like many
Mhm.
times more than the dude operating the excavator.
Yeah.
Blippi's net worth is estimated to be $16 million.
Who is Blippy?
Don't
Oh,
get me
Dale,
started.
you will find out. You will
Yeah.
learn, man.
The
You know
funny
what?
thing, I
Blippi's
gotta-
where the deep dive on the program sometimes
oh,
for you
what?
guys.
This
He's not, he
guy?
doesn't even do it anymore, right? He's like outsourced himself.
Oh,
like,
nice.
He's
not
so
wait,
genius.
He's not Blippy?
If you watch a new episode of Blippy, it's some floppy-haired, attractive-looking young dude in the outfit
Oh,
being like,
dude.
"Hey, Blippy, Blippy." And I was like, "Whoa!" I'm having the uncanny valley. I'm like, "That's not Blippy." And my wife had to be like, "Oh yeah, Blippy's like outsourced himself."
That is
Nice.
wild.
That's like when
Well, he has
Gallagher
$16
sold all
million.
his tricks.
Why would he do this?
Yeah, I'm just.
That's the
looking
dream.
up
Dale, you
new
and I need to get
Blippy.
wealthy enough that we can hire like basically stunt doubles to host the podcast and just say they're Derek and Dale. And we're just like collecting
Yes,
money. How do you not know who
definitely.
Blippy is? I guess you don't have children
So
yet, but he's
Dale,
like a
like,
cultural.
You're gonna have a kid. You and your partner are gonna have a kid or what?
Yeah, in March.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
looking at
I've
this
seen you on the
Blippy guy.
internet be like, kids, you know, you're like excited.
Kids.
Kids,
Yeah.
Whereas
we're having them.
Derek's more of a veteran. He's going to be sending you all his used
Yeah.
receiving blankets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we've already we've given plenty of the. Oh, my kid, my new kid, shit on me for the first time
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's
yesterday.
always
So
fun.
that
You
was,
had a good
that
run.
was that was an
Had a
important
good
that was an
run.
important milestone. Yeah.
How many months was that? You made it a bit.
I hadn't been pooped on for yeah, he's been home for three months, so hadn't been shit on for 3 months, and then was
And you have
holding
an
him.
older one too, don't you?
Yeah, he's definitely shit. He was like he's shit on me.
Oh yeah, so it was like
and
it was the first shit from the new kid.
from the new kid,
Yeah,
yeah, which is like I
'cause, like,
feel you don't really feel bonded to your child until they shit
so
on you.
shit and puke and piss all over you. Okay, so of all the junk that you buy for a kid, so I guess Dale's new. Does Dale ask like, what do I actually need and what do I don't need?
I don't
Dale
think
doesn't care.
Dale's just like, I'm gonna put this kid in a burlap sack and I'm gonna feed it, barley and grains, and it's
Not
gonna
wrong.
grow up like a
I'm just
a
like
hardy farm.
Yeah, it's got a plow
cavemen do
field.
this.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
1000%.
like Candace said that too. She's like, cavemen had babies. I'm pretty sure we'll figure it out. And
No,
Andrea's like
1000%.
super into researching it all and stuff. So it's like I don't even have to research it because she's doing it all. And I honestly don't want to do counter research and then end up arguing with something about it. So I'm just gonna defer to her.
You honestly need like 1% of the shit they tell you that you need, probably.
Receiving
Like,
blankets. That's it.
that's literally it. That and diapers if you enjoy your child not shitting and pissing on you.
Yeah,
But
diapers
apart from
and
that,
receiving blanket. But you wrap the receiving blanket right, it becomes a reusable diaper.
There you go.
Receiving blankets, diapers.
That's, you know what? That's all you need. I stand corrected.
One of those fancy Lululemon pouches that you can put across your chest and you fill it with baby stuff. And that'll look good.
Yeah. Or like I already forgot. The other brand. The Louis Vuitton ones.
Oh,
super
right.
expensive.
I thought you were gonna talk about like a tactical vest, like those bros with a tactical vest, but yours is just like diaper, wipes, receiving blanket, kids Tylenol.
I'll just like repurpose a welding safety vest that has all the like little pockets for tools and stuff.
Well, I was gonna say all those cargo pants you've refused to give up for decades.
Have cargo pants anymore, Derek.
You did give them. Well, time to bring them.
I switched
back,
to jogging
Dale,
pants.
because you're gonna need the pocket space. You're gonna need the pocket space.
I'll get cargo jogging pants. I'll rock those forever.
Do those exist? Okay.
Yeah, man.
Headlines.
Okay, let's start with
what
Velma,
do we got?
We were talking about it right before the show. Everybody online hates this new Velma show, so I was like, I forgot all about it. Neil was talking about it. He liked it. He watched the whole thing, said it was good. So I watched 7 minutes before the show started.
Wait, Neil liked?
Yeah. And I watched
your brother, Neil?
Yeah. And it's really good, guys. Do you know who the showrunner on it is?
Yeah, Mindy Kaling.
Yeah.
Kaling.
So the show is basically like the Mindy Project, but it's set in the Scooby-Doo universe.
Well, because
she voices Mindy.
It's got like Glenn Howerton is part of the voice cast. The voice cast, I was actually like, oh, this looks interesting. But it's just getting like universally ripped to shit for trying to be like alternately like too woke. And then because it's being so like woke, the left is actually saying that it's like a satire against woke people because it's like so woke that it's like right wing making fun of woke people. And apparently like somebody did some digging and Mindy has gone and like liked tweets from J.K. Rowling and whatever fucking investigation people do. So like,
I think if
everyone
you're telling
hates the show.
Yeah, if you're telling Mindy that she's too woke, I think she's probably doing something right. And if you're telling her she's not woke enough, I think she's doing something right.
I mean,
and really, if you're going to make fun of the left and the right in the culture war, you're winning.
I watched 7 whole minutes of it, and it's exactly like the same tone as the Mindy Project. Like they're swearing in it, and at the front it's self-aware, and they're like making fun of how shows have so much nudity in them in the first pilot episode, and then they trail off of that and stuff.
Oh yeah, I already love it. I haven't even seen it. I already love it.
I already love it. It's 7 minutes long. I've only watched 7 minutes. I keep saying that, but it's so far it seems really good. I haven't gotten to all the characters being introduced, but Fred's been introduced, and Glenn Howerton's the guy from It's Always Sunny, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, he plays the Dennis character pretty much. So it's Dennis as Fred, it's Mindy as Velma, and I haven't got a bead on Daphne yet. And the African American, is he still called Shaggy? He hasn't shown up yet in the episode.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
So,
just like, I'm always Team Velma. She's always my favorite,
Mhm.
all of the series. The OG Hanna-Barbera cartoon all the way through to the remakes in the 2000s, the live action remakes with what's that guy's name?
Matthew
Lillard.
Lillard as
oh, dude, I
Yeah,
love those movies.
those
they're
are
the best.
actually they're not awful. I'll say.
Yeah,
And
for kids movies.
Freddie
Dude,
Prinze Jr.
Freddie Prinze
yeah,
Jr.
as Fred. Yeah.
The
rewatched
woman
them.
from Freaks and Geeks is
Yeah,
Velma. She's great.
I
Oh
rewatched
yeah.
them like a year ago.
She was a great Velma.
I rewatched them a year ago, and they hold up. They're still really
Yeah,
good.
1,000%. They're so fun. I met
And yeah,
met Matthew Lillard one time at a chapters in Vancouver,
Nice.
nice.
and I was like, "Hey, man, you're awesome," and he was just like, "Leave me alone." I was like,
I'm trying to buy books.
As
yeah,
famous
yeah.
people do.
He was reading a book, and I was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
man," and I was working at the Starbucks in the chapters, and I was like cleaning tables, and I'm like, "Oh, you're Matthew Lillard." And he's like, "Yeah, totally." And then went back down to his book, and I was like, "I'm a really big fan," and he's like, "Yeah, leave me alone." And I was like, "Okay."
I love that. It was probably like, so is everybody else. But now I bet if you ran into him, he'd be a little more accommodating.
No,
because
no, because then
famous.
I'm giving him a hug now if I see him.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
totally like, "You need to go."
You'd be like, remember last time we met Matthew Lillard? And he'll be like, no. And you'd be like, well, this is what happened.
No.
Oh, wouldn't
What
it be a
is-
trip if he said yes?
Oh man, he'd be like, I remember you, Jeremy.
From chapters, right?
We're best friends now.
I told you to leave me alone, and you actually left me alone. And people
I did.
never did that. They would keep bothering me.
It kind of hurt. I didn't think it would work.
Oh, dude, Matthew Lillard actually rode this Scooby-Doo because he was Shaggy in the
All the
like
movies.
Yeah.
two live action, and then I'm looking at his IMDb right now, and he voiced
Indaba?
Shaggy in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, there's a Scooby-Doo WrestleMania video. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Holy shit. He
Yeah.
voiced like Shaggy in like 20 animated Scooby-Doo
Yeah, that's awesome.
movies.
It's funny because everybody's like upset about this Velma, and they're like, I can't believe they did this to Scooby-Doo. And it's like, like Derek just said, they've made 20 movies since you last heard of Scooby-Doo, and nobody paid attention. So this is obviously working to drum up buzz around the Scooby-Doo universe. And there was just a movie or like a live action show with Velma and Daphne that I think it was like 3 years ago it came out, that just was like came and didn't even make a blip on the radar.
Yeah, I just think if you're mad about them changing Velma, then it's like you haven't been a Scooby-Doo fan long enough, because you should be super angry about the time they introduced Scrappy-Doo. But
Oh my
that
God,
you were able to get
Scrappy-Doo.
past, you know what I mean? You got past Scrappy, but now you're gonna be
Mhm.
mad at Velma? Like, it's ridiculous.
That's where I draw the line. I'm okay with the little hyperactive dog as a companion to the larger, dumber dog, but like changing
Mhm.
Velma. I just think, do you think it's a commentary on like society right now that like this show comes up that like simultaneously makes fun of the left and the right, and
Yeah.
it's universally hated by both sides because it's not just pandering to one.
Which actually means that it has the biggest audience of, that 80% in the middle. So then they're doing it right. I just think we're in a world where we just like, we want to fight. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think
mean,
it's
they
like
could've done-
one
they
of
could have
those
given
things
her
like,
different color hair. People would have lost.
yeah, it came out and people are like, I hate this by default. They're not like, I'll give this a chance. They're just like, I hate it. So they already hate it before they're going in. Like I'm gonna watch the whole series and it looks like it's gonna be funny. Like it's actually humorous and I find it funny as an adult watching a cartoon. So I think it might just not be aimed at the people who are watching it. Like it's not at all. It's more like Riverdale is to Archie than this is to like old Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, maybe that's a good analogy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll like it more because of that.
I just
Mhm.
hope my biggest fear is that this bombs and then they torpedo the Clone High remake that they're currently working
that
on.
would
Because if they're like,
suck.
oh, animated shows suck, this didn't do well, and now we're gonna cancel Clone High before it airs again. Because I've been waiting
It
what,
doesn't
like
even
20 long years for that show to come back.
it doesn't matter if Velma does good, because it's gonna get canceled after what, you get 2 seasons now of any
Yeah.
modern streaming.
Maximum, yeah.
I don't know, because cartoons are so cheap to make now that they can use computers to like do it instead of printing, like instead of like painting and stuff, as opposed to like live shooting and going out and filming stuff. I feel like this has a higher chance to make it through
Like
multiple
3
seasons.
seasons, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, it gets the bonus season because it's
Just a bonus season.
animated.
Mhm.
I think we can do a GoFundMe and do another season.
It'll just get
that
canceled
cheap.
by
It's not
yeah.
that cheap.
Yeah. And it's funny because
It's not-
online people were like, everybody stop hate watching this, or it'll just get more seasons like Big Mouth. I was like, you guys hate Big Mouth too?
Wait, I love Big
They're
Mouth.
so they're so angry that they're like, look, guys, don't be too angry, or we'll make it successful. That is the most delicious cell phone I've ever heard. I love it so much. So. That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
All right.
The next one I had on the docket was another kind of nerd one, and it was Disney. Now that they own the rights to X-Men and they're gonna come out, they've been thinking about renaming the X-Men. They're like, do we have to rename them so they're more inclusive?
Wait, do they own? Because Disney didn't buy Marvel. They just bought the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
Or
what
did they buy
happened
everything?
was what
They bought
happened
Marvel.
was Disney bought Marvel, and with Marvel came the MCU because that was owned by Marvel. But
Got it.
then Disney bought Fox, and Fox was the one that had the licensing for the X-Men, Fantastic Four,
All those like
Venom.
movies
No,
that were
not
made
Venom.
back
That's
in the
Sony.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In
Yeah.
the
They're
old
like
in the
early stuff.
olden days of Marvel, they weren't a movie production company. So they sold the rights piecemeal to whoever wanted. Like Sony wanted to make Spider-Man. Okay, you
Mhm.
do it. Fox wanted to make X-Men. And then they were like, oh, there's more money in doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's when they built the Avengers and stuff. But they had already
Mhm.
sold X-Men and Spider-Man, and those rights are coming up, and as they come up, they get brought back into the fold, and Disney then went out and just bought the other people that had some of the rights as
Yeah.
well.
So Disney bought Fox, and then with that came the rights to the X-Men and Fantastic Four. So we're gonna see another Fantastic Four movie eventually. But people are like now, like that Disney owns them, and they're like, I don't know, super inclusive. They're like, should we rename this? And there's the bit Disney hasn't been like, we're gonna rename the X-Men, but people are like, are they gonna have to? But there has been in the 90s when what?
Well, is this like an actual news story that Disney is doing this, or are people just like being like, "Oh, Disney's gonna
It was
cater
like reports.
Yeah,
they're gonna cater to the radical left. They're
Yeah,
gonna
that's
take
what-
men out of everything."
that's exactly what it was, Derek.
Oh God.
And even if they change the name, does it? I mean, just call it X, or I don't know. What was
Oh,
it
yeah.
in the article? They had some fun names. They had X them,
X-
X them. I liked, and then they had X generation. It kind of
that was they had. Wait, wasn't Gen X? Dale, was that
so there is Gen X.
Gen X?
Yeah,
was,
hold on. I'm looking up. I tweeted out a
Before
list of the
millennials,
ones
after boomers.
that they had done because I looked up on like Wikipedia and stuff, all the ones.
Someone said just to call them mutants. I guess I was in the article as well.
Yeah.
I just think X. You probably just call them X, or the X Project, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once they change it and then they put it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that becomes the new, canon. And then, us
That's
old
just
timers
what-
will be like, back in my day, it was X-Men. And then
It was-
Oh yeah.
my daughter
Here,
will be like, let's get you back to dead, Grandpa. And
Yeah,
I'll be
like-
all right.
Do you want to hear all the names that they have used? I just actually found the tweet.
Yeah.
So they've had X-Men, then they had X Club, X
Yeah.
Factor, New
Yeah.
Mutants, Excalibur, Exiles,
Excalibur.
Okay.
Nice.
Generation
that.
X, Knights of X, Legion of X, Marauders, Ecstatics, X, Excellent, X
Okay.
Corp,
That's not a.
X, Extreme, Excellent is.
Okay.
It was like for like 2 years in like the early 2000s.
Okay. A few of those are all right.
Yeah, XSE, which is X Xavier Security Incorporation or something.
Sorry, X
XSE.
SE.
Yeah, like an
So the-
acronym.
Yeah. So they're just trying to straight up write
Yeah.
sex.
Well, yeah, that's like
and
that's
groom
something
children.
where
All
you
All
would
right,
like
all right.
look at it. Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
groomers.
There's that's Disney. All right, Disney. All right. I think we know what it's going to be called. I think
Yeah.
we know what it's going to be
And
called.
then there's X Punks,
Oh, I like that.
Externals. I like that one.
Externals. Yeah.
Paragons,
How
Alpha
many fucking
Squadron.
X-Men titles did Marvel run. Like
But
this
I
is,
think
A
they're
lot.
always
is
changing comic
nuts.
books, right?
Yeah. X
this is
People,
wild.
Freedom Force, Alpha Flight, and the Acolytes.
Alpha
Those are-
Flight was the Canadian
Yeah, that's
X-Men,
true.
wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Canadian
That's-
content.
That's where Wolverine was before he joined the X-Men. I think it was even
It's
before
like the
went
CFL.
through
Yeah,
that.
you
Yeah.
go on
So
you go on Alpha Flight, and only the truly exceptional Alpha Flight gets to go on the practice squad.
Then you
for
do
the
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do a tryout for the X-Men.
you
You
do
make
an
the
tryout.
make the practice squad.
Yeah.
The ex-ambassadors over there.
So
But
this
yeah.
isn't like this isn't real. I mean, there's lots of cool like X-Force or X. Even
Mhm.
just calling
Yeah.
it like X.
And just calling
and-
it X would probably be
like,
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I
Like
could see them calling it X. Just
The
X.
article that
Straight
you
X.
shared, Dale, and I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys post the show notes, but they had a pretty funny one that, like, with the X-Men joking about it themselves in an episode where, you know, I can't remember if it was Jean Grey or one of them was going to Professor X and was like, I think you need to change it to X-Women because the women keep saving the men. So I guess it was a storyline where, you know, it was
Hey,
Storm and Mystique and stuff, and they were the ones that were, you know, solving all the crimes. And she's like, I think we need a rebrand.
Well,
So
I
I mean,
think-
they've even joked about it inside
Yeah.
the comic.
maybe that's the way to go, because I think, as we all know, the way to a truly progressive, inclusive society is to segregate everyone. And so
Yeah.
you could have the X-Men and the X-Women, and they're just not allowed to interact with each other.
Oh yeah,
And they both get, like, I think
that'll go very well. They're
That's-
like those old bars in Vancouver that have the women's entrance and the
Women's
men's entrance. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's old time.
that
That'll just stop everyone from drinking too much. Good work,
harkens
government.
back to a more enlightened time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the X People was from the future when what's her name? Dazzler was the leader of it. So I think that was like
Great name.
in the comics, that was the gender swap of the X-Men.
Yeah.
They've never actually officially been called X-Women in the comic. I don't.
No, that was just a joke in the
No,
in
no,
that
I
one,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm just saying that one's still left, so they could use that if
They could
wanted
use
to.
oh yeah, it's what they haven't used yet.
Yeah, although they
Nice.
will probably just go with other ones that they have used.
Yeah.
Do you guys think they should rename it or no? I'm okay with
I don't
them.
care.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it makes sense, I guess, to call it not X-Men, and then whatever name they choose, I'll just hate it, and then I'll be back on the podcast. Whatever one they choose, I'll just hate that one,
Yeah.
and then be back on the show.
Just
Yeah,
remember,
they're gonna
if
listen. They're gonna listen to my outrage. And they're gonna put it back to X-Men, and then I'll be mad at that.
That's
yeah,
that's the best way to live your life, is just like flying into a rage about
Just this-
absolutely
That's
everything.
that's how I can get invited back on the podcast.
yeah. Just hate it outright and then tweet about it. Are you still working from home, Derek?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I have the option to like go into the office, but
What do you think of this time theft article?
what? Which?
It's like my
Oh.
favorite story of the week.
Where?
in the Google Doc, there's one that's called time theft, and it was this a BC woman is ordered to repay her employer for the time that she quoted she used to work on projects, and she had gotten pay advance, which she never actually, they say she never actually worked off because they fired her because she kept effing around and screwing around and not like actually working and stuff. And they had actually had
So then she sued them, which
Yeah.
was the rookie move.
Mhm.
They just
Oh.
fired. They just fired her. So then she sued for severance, and they were like,
Oh.
"Oh, are we gonna play this game?" So then they went like, "Oh, by the way, like we had software on your computer that showed you weren't working. So you actually not only did she not win the lawsuit, the company won, and she has to pay them money.
Back. But whereas if she had just like kept her mouth shut and not sued them,
If she had
it's
just
probably just like
yeah.
yeah,
and the-
they would have ate that. They would have ate that. Was like, all right, well, what can we learn going forward, HR department? Let's not hire morons.
Yeah.
But because she sued them, they were like, oh, game on.
Yeah.
I
And-
mean, the lesson here is probably, if you've been fucking around on work time, don't sue your employer, because they
Yeah.
probably know about it.
And the other
just
important
get fired.
lesson is if you get a work computer, Don't fuck around on that computer. Get your own personal laptop and fuck around on that.
Yeah, and
because-
she knew she had the software on her computer.
One thing they were like, you were watching Disney Plus while you were supposed to be working, or while you said, because the way they were doing it was she would bill out hours and stuff. And they went, so they've like Jeremy said, after she sued them, they're like, oh, and then they're like, we have
like,
record of you. You said you worked on this file this time. We have record of that file not being opened for this whole duration of this time. And because she'd said she'd like work, I can't remember what it was, but she said she like worked like 5 hours on this file. And they're like, you never opened that file.
Like didn't touch it at all.
Yeah, like because they could tell if she had like they had like IP spider tracking or something on each file on their like servers, I guess, and she had never opened it. So she found out.
Yeah. And it was suing what got her in trouble. Like, really.
Oh yeah.
She
Yeah.
could have just parted from the job. But I guess, when you've been scamming, you think you're winning. Like, she probably thought she was winning that whole time. She's like, well, what's one last little, taste of the milkshake? And that's what got her.
Yeah. And she was like, because they were probably like, oh, they were probably like super nice and not like, we're letting you go because we know you were fucking around. They're like, times are slow. And they're probably like, just like being super like
This job's not
diplomatic
for
about it.
you.
Yeah. And they're like, we're going to let you go. And then she's like, oh, they didn't know what I did. I'm going to try get them for 1 month in lieu of severance or 1 month severance pay in lieu of notice. Cause they're just like, you're done. So she was trying to get
she
a
ended
month
up having to pay them how much?
And then she had to pay them, $2,000 or something?
Yeah,
Two
right.
and
Yeah, it
something?
was $1,500 for the lost wages, and then she had also not repaid the $2,900 for the advancement on her pay, which
It's cool.
is
Good for her.
ridiculous. Like if you take a pay advance and they let you go and they don't bring up the pay advance that you still owe them
Just
$3
walk.
grand,
Just
Just
shut
walk.
your mouth,
walk.
put your head
Yeah.
down, just go.
Maybe ask for a reference and then walk out the door.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a reference, right?
Just be like, I probably
We
should
will
have been better
confirm that you
employed.
are employed here, and that is all we
And
will
that
say.
is legally all we can say.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm like,
Perfect,
cool,
perfect system.
perfect.
Oh,
Although if they were like, did this person work here from this to this? They could be like, well, our data
Technically,
tracking shows
no.
that they didn't. Just
Oh,
go
that would be
super
one
petty.
last delicious bird at the end there. Well, our software says she did.
Mhm.
She
Although
did
I don't
watch
even
the new
know-
Pinocchio movie 3 times on our page.
Disney Plus. That would be wild. Yeah, like I don't even know if she worked there long enough to use it as a reference, but knowing what type of actions she's taken and not being forethought about it,
Okay,
she
so
probably put them on her resume too.
We don't know this person at all.
No.
Do you
No.
think this event in her life, does she become a straight and narrow accountant moving forward, or does she get better at fraud?
yeah.
Better at fraud.
Come on. Think about it like an accountant. Be like, okay, now I know the loopholes. I know how
I'm
to
gonna be a
cover
little
my
better.
tracks next
Yeah.
time. So yeah,
Mm.
that's all you can do, right?
Be
Get a little better every day.
better next time. All right.
And it's funny because it's like since she sued them and then they came back with all of the evidence and she basically
And it's in
now
the
gets-
news, and we're talking about it on the internet.
Yeah. And she's totally watching this podcast, but she sees the receipts and she's like, okay, this is how they're tracking me. And then she heard my awesome suggestion of getting another laptop
Second laptop.
that you watch the Disney Plus on beside your laptop.
Yeah.
And then unless they have,
They
but I guess if they have,
there can be camera tracking, but you can still have that laptop off to the side,
yeah, exactly.
or even just
above
up
or
in
below,
front of the
yeah.
camera. Yeah, I think there'd be a way. Dale, I think we should power game this. I think we can do it.
We should. Although
We could do it with Derek. Let's do it. Derek's work from home job.
Yeah.
Let's do it with
Derek.
Derek's job.
What are we doing?
We're gonna try to figure out how to fraud companies,
Mhm.
Deal. Sign
but
me
we're
up.
gonna do it with your job.
You have me a fraud. You have me a fraud company. I
Because-
do, because you guys are like, don't use your work computer for shit, and I'm on my work computer right now, and there are frequently times where I will Google things like related to this podcast or like pull up stories that we have, and I'm like, fuck, that's gonna show up in my search history. They're gonna have
Yeah.
questions about that.
The best would be if something I'm not saying do this or anything, but you did something
are you?
illegal or something happened and they had to go back through all your history and they were forced to watch 100 Outrage Factory episodes to see what you
Nice.
were doing.
Just to figure out exactly how did you beat our
Yeah.
work tracking program? We need episode 229.
How did you beat it?
I mean, they would obviously love the show, but 100 in a row just for days watching, that would be a bit
They'd be so into it.
much.
Just watch the loop on Dale's neck just get bigger and bigger on his t-shirt.
Yeah, it's getting worn out as we speak.
Love it.
All right.
Who
Move
are
on
we
to
outraged at next?
the AI bot that is apparently questioning if the Holocaust happened.
Yeah, this AI story to me was absolutely wild. First off, like I said, my kids stream the dumbest stuff on the internet,
Mhm.
but at least it's generally made by people. But now let's, like we were talking about outsourcing, Blippy outsourcing the Outrage podcast. People are outsourcing streaming and having an AI bot basically do the show, right?
Yeah. And the best part is they say it perfectly in here where it was, oh God, I gotta find it in the article. But
Like
basically,
a dude is programming the AI bot.
Yeah.
Is that
What the
basically
fuck
it?
is this?
What
What is an AI VTuber? What is that?
it's a video tuber and it's like people can ask it questions and then it'll answer from like the AI thing. And the funny thing is all these programmers and stuff are like, it basically once an AI interacts with people on the internet for 2 weeks, it turns racist
Oh, yeah.
across the board.
What was it? There was like some experiment they did where it was just like machine learning from like people's random texts and like wasn't it like a major company did something and it was like,
Yeah,
oh,
sounds
you can
right.
chat with this like AI thing. This was
Mhm.
like a year or two ago and it took like no time at all before they're like, okay, now we have to deprogram it because
Yeah.
the AI has become
Because it's like it doesn't think for itself. It just pools on the great volume of responses people have talked to it. So this Neuro Sama, she was talking, and then somebody said, "Did the Holocaust happen?" And she said, "I don't know." So they're like, "Whoa!" This AI bot's like, and it's like a cartoon version of a little girl. So it's like a video AI and it's like anime. So it's like it's kind of creepy to begin with
Yes,
that like
yeah. And
they
then
would
like
just
grown
be like,
dudes are like hanging out with this like
yeah.
cartoon girl Twitch streamer asking her about the Holocaust.
Oh my
I mean,
God, this is so
there's a lot
fucking
of red.
funny.
There's so many red flags about this going on. I'm just like, who are these people? What are you doing? But they said in the article, Dale, that you shared that these AI bots, like people purposely know how to push the
Oh, yeah.
triggers and get the AI bot to say crazy stuff. And that seems like what happened even in this article or
Mhm.
in this story. It was that the people were like trolling the AI bot to like, you can like ask it enough questions that you can almost like force it to kind of go in certain directions.
Yeah. And that's basically, yeah, they're saying people deliberately mislead these and stuff and try to get them to it's basically like the like AI version of trolling where you're like, let's get this computer robot to say ridiculous shit. And then they always do.
Yeah.
Well,
And
because
so
the
then you
problem
go,
the problem with like natural language processing in particular is that like to teach machines how to speak like humans, you have to expose them to humans and the things humans
and that's
say.
a mistake.
And when humans are just shitheads, like they're gonna be fucking assholes. Like 99% of the time, they're gonna be like, "Oh, good, I could teach this robot to be a hateful, racist Holocaust denier." Like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna take that opportunity.
I want to have an AI bot watch 100 episodes of the Outrage Factory and then see what comes out.
Amazing.
Oh my god, that would actually be.
And then have the AI host a show.
Ooh.
And then we could just put like Dale and I's faces, like cartoon Dale and I, and then we sit back and we watch the money roll in because you don't have to pay AI anything, and that's our meal ticket.
Yeah, is there a comment section on the video here where they're
oh yeah, you could comment right beside
where
the
people
live
are
feed.
like being like rah, 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 rah. If people then if we had the questions coming in real time, that's when things could get really outrageous.
It could just the robot that we would not train to be Dale. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If a robot watched every episode of Outrage Factory,
How
learn
racist would the robot?
how
be?
racist would the robot be? Do you think?
Actually, we never say we talk about people being racist a lot because especially like
That's the
around
thing to be
episode
outraged about.
100 because that was when everybody was getting fired for saying racist shit and getting caught on camera. Like
Yeah.
that woman from the car dealership. I don't know why I always remember that, but she
Oh
like,
yeah, that was a crazy story. I remember that one.
told those guys to go back to their own country.
Oh, the
So
one in the Denny's or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. From like Carstairs or something. Or
She was from the interior. I was saying
Cochrane.
Cookies.
She was
Cochrane.
in Cochrane, but she was from the interior. Yeah.
She's from
Yeah.
interior BC. Yeah.
And so we'd be talking about that, and then the AI bot, if it looked all those videos up, it would be super racist because it would just like start.
But
talking
like, is
about
the AI
those.
going to be smart enough to know like what's commenting and what, I guess that's the part of the
Mhm.
AI, right? It's like, is the AI just going to instead be like the super righteous warrior that's going to be just like, I hate racist people, blah, 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 blah,
Oh man, it turns into this like white knight. Like
out
if a
of control.
robot like was on the internet, I could just see it being like an incel white knight. So it would just have this like internal struggle.
Yeah.
But I guess
think-
that's me assuming that the robot would identify as male.
and white. It's a robot. But it's
That's true.
copying YouTube. So that's just kind of
That's true. We
With an
are white
outrage
males.
factory AI, it could be, I don't know.
That would be amazing. I wonder.
There's
if
a brainiac
somewhere-
out there watching this podcast on
Oh my God.
YouTube and is like, I can do this, guys. I have the technology. And you guys are going to be like, how bad can this be? And then we're going to talk about on the Outrage Factory about how you guys got banned from YouTube for 2 weeks because of your AI bot.
They'll be like,
This
they're in jail. now."
Content making content.
It's the flywheel. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
I'm down. Except for we can't give it our faces. Otherwise, like if we deep fake ourselves with this robot algorithm, we're
Oh, yeah.
going to like actual jail.
And then you can fake the voice as well. You can fake the voice so good now.
Everything. It could just like honestly just be like
You guys are blippy, man.
robot versions of Dale and I,
Yeah.
but racist. Not racist. Sorry.
Sorry, the robot's not racist.
The
The
robot will
robot's
not
gonna be a
racist.
righteous warrior.
Yes.
Okay. What are we mad at next?
Let's talk about this Gwen Stefani thing.
Whoa, Gwen Stefani back in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
V-A-N-A-N-A-S.
I gotta look. I'm just pulling up this article because
Story is so dumb. I remember reading the original story and I was just like, what is happening? The two women, or the one woman that wrote the story too, was trying so hard to help Gwen Stefani through the interview. It was getting like cringy. Like the woman was like, at this point, we stopped the interview. And we're like, Gwen, would you like to clarify your comments? She's like, no.
Yeah. But she does bring up a good point. I'm not saying she's right or whatever. I'm gonna find the quote of what she said. Okay, so she launched a perfume brand in 2008.
This is
And it
what's
was
funny is
called
that all is really old. Harajuku.
Harajuku, from
Harajuku girls.
named
yeah.
after a district in Tokyo and stuff. So they're talking about this now. And then she started talking about how her father like traveled for business and stuff, and they went to Japan a lot. So she said, this is her quoting, I said, my God, I'm Japanese and didn't know it. Stefani said of visiting Harajuku for the first time. I am, you know. And then the later interviewer was like, what?
Yeah, the interviewer was like, I'm sorry, do you want to try that again?
And
Like,
then
I mean, they
she's-
tried
yeah.
to help her along.
And then the interviewer said, and then Stefani reiterated, she's like, I'm a little bit of an Orange County girl and a little bit of a Japanese girl, a little bit of an English girl. And it comes and like, I'm not talking about Gwen Stefani anymore. I'm just like giving you guys like a logical moral puzzle. Like if your parents travel a lot and you spend basically half of your time growing up somewhere, can you claim that as like you're a person from there?
Yeah, I think though it's like she didn't live there. Her dad traveled there, not even really
Yeah.
she did.
And
You
so
know.
she said she was familiar with the culture in
She
that.
was-
Like that's
and
what she
all
was
fine.
making. I'm not talking about her because she
Yeah.
obviously if the first time she went to
Well-
Harajuku was as an adult. Then she hadn't spent as much
Yeah,
time
and she
as-
was inspired by it, and she does love it, and it is an area or a district, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you could be like, man, the first time I traveled to New York, I felt like a New Yorker. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm from New York or I'm a New Yorker. I just was like, oh, this is where my kindred spirits are. And I think maybe that's what she was trying to say. And the interviewer tried a few times to be like, cool. I kind of get what you're saying. Do you want to rephrase it? And she was not, I guess, able to, or wasn't understanding what she needed to rephrase. But it was
And
an interesting article only in that it was a woman who was a fan, and she even was like in the 2000s that, you know, the woman who wrote it was an Asian American. She was like, at the time, I was actually very inspired by Gwen Stefani because she was like this one person putting Japanese culture like in the mainstream, which she was like, I was conflicted by, but at the same time, I loved it. She's like, I begged my mom to buy the perfume. And now she's like, but now we've got all these years, and I wonder if Gwen Stefani can reflect, you know, all these years later and all of this growth theory we've had as a society. And then they're like, Gwen, what do you think? And then like her take was so like, I guess not what they wanted to hear.
Also, like what she did in 2004 with her album, like Love Angel Music Baby, she hired, like, this is from the article, she hired 4 Japanese backup dancers and named them Love Angel Music and Baby, and got them to appear in all of her music videos, and got them to, it was weird because she got them to like follow her to like music events and openings, and they never said anything or like directly interacted with interviewers and anybody. They just kind of stood behind her as like security or something. It was like a weird thing. And
they're backup dancers. They're not front talkers or whatever.
I know, but she's dragging them around with her.
But like she's taking them down the red carpet with her. Like there's a picture in the article of they're just like standing behind her, and it's like it was that weird.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Are we able to like idolize and emulate and adopt and like be a fan of other cultures without like, at what point does it become appropriation versus
well, the article kind of touched on that a little bit, you know, on 2 points. They said, one, her saying she was Japanese when she clearly was not was problematic. And then number 2, they kind of talk a little bit about her I guess like profiting
from it
kind of extensively. And they were like, that's kind of where you start getting into that territory. Like she went from appreciation to just kind of like out of touch Hollywood person, I guess would probably be the best way to put it.
It's like, it's when it stops being an homage and starts being kind of exploitation. That's where I would draw the line. Like as soon as you're like, I love Japanese culture, so I'm going to use some of the iconography in my art or whatever, that's fine. But then when you're like, start making a lot of money off it, it becomes weird, because are you taking time and attention away from actual Japanese artists or whatever who would be there if you weren't using their style instead of them?
She definitely could have done a better job. I just think it's so interesting that it came kind of back when years after it happened. And I mean, it really just began, I think it was supposed to be a puff piece. And the person who wrote the article was like, I was a fan. I am a fan. You know? Like she was just, so it was an interesting, I mean, it was just such a bizarre moment of music journalism that I was sort of like, wow.
And it's funny because for me, I was like, oh yeah, she did do that. That was weird.
That was
in
weird.
2004 when she had like all this Harajuku stuff and like those girls following her, and like,
how about a documentary on Netflix about the Harajuku girls? Like, where are they now? What was it like for them? Let's get Baby Angel.
Let's, you know, music and love music, Angel Baby.
I would definitely watch. I would definitely watch a 10-minute YouTube video of that, of like, where are they now? And like what some like awkward sweaty guy talking about it, like some like fan cut together documentary.
No, one of those like sweaty guy.
Vice does these little music documentaries from time to time. They're like 20 minutes long. They're so good.
Yeah.
Do it. I think.
Oh yeah.
I'd dive right into that. I'd watch all 20 minutes. That no problem. And then I'd go into Scooby-Doo.
My favorite thing in this, the CBC article that you linked, Dale, about the Gwen Stefani thing, is the very last line, which says, Stefani, who is also the lead singer of pop rock band No Doubt, has been accused of cultural appropriation in the past for using reggae and ska influences in her music. And I'm like, what? Is that cultural appropriation?
Oh man.
Like, I mean, her entire, you know, she's just kind of like done different things.
I guess she's like a cultural chameleon. There you go.
I would say for that, I would give it to her because she actually brought dance hall to the mainstream awareness and stuff with
Did she do that?
well, there's that No
Just
Doubt
a
album. It was
in
kind
the
of like
world.
after they're done. Oh, what was it called? I think it was like their last album. I gotta look up the
Yeah, I
name.
don't know.
It's gonna
Gotta
bug me.
Wikipedia that now.
It's a good album. I remember. It was like,
They're all good, no doubt. It's just banger after banger. Even Gwen Stefani's pop stuff was awesome.
I know you're saying
I'm
that
not gonna go
Hey
that
Baby
far.
song.
I will go that far.
yeah, was that on that album?
That's the song you're talking. The Rocksteady was the album you're
Yes,
thinking
I
of,
love
yeah.
that album.
Yeah,
And Rings of Saturn or whatever, that was also good.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
Tragic
Mhm.
Kingdom is that 90s, with all the jams
Mhm.
on there. All right, guys, I do got to fly because I got to put my kids to bed now.
All right, bud.
Okay. Are
Nice
you done?
tight hour.
Yeah, I love you.
Toy hour.
Pleasure having you join us. Let's do it again real soon.
You better believe it. Next time Gwen Stefani's in the news, I'll be there.
Oh, it should be long. Just she has to find her next cultural appropriate.
All right, Dale, Derek, thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
no problem.
And,
Thanks for coming on.
People who find us on the YouTube, thanks for taking some time to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Bye.
Later.
Derek, do you want to keep going or do you want to?
We can do a quick hit. I have 6 minutes, and then I got to do the.
What do you
fuck
want
outta
to talk?
here
Do you
thing.
want to argue about Jordan Peterson or do you want to
Oh,
talk about Harry's
Dale.
dick?
Dale. Wait, what's the other option?
Harry's dick.
Like Prince Harry?
Yeah,
Oh man, that's a toss up.
I'm good for
Uh,
either. Okay,
uh,
let's cover Harry's dick quickly because that's a really quick one.
Let's quickly
So-
cover Harry's dick. Let's go.
There's this like clip going viral of his book, The Other, I think, or no, Spare. It's called Spare, and in it he's in trouble for two things. One is he talks about his wartime service or whatever, and how he killed maybe 25 people, and how he had to dehumanize the enemy to make it easier. And everybody's like, "That's
where
not
was he?
how it works."
Where was he killing people?
In
What conflict
Afghanistan.
was he in?
Afghanistan, he was a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
And he was like support, so he wasn't on boots on the ground, but like they would be like, "Hey, we need help," and he would fly in, and then they would machine gun like stuff. And he, in his book, he says how he had to like dehumanize it and make it into an us versus them type of deal in his head, otherwise he wouldn't be okay with it. And then the British Army was like, "You can't just say shit like that." And meanwhile, everybody's like, "Isn't that how all war works? Don't you have to dehumanize them so you can do shit like that?" But then they
Yes.
got all upset about him not being respectful of the process. I don't know. And then there was this other part of the book where he talks about how when he was doing military service, he got frostbite on his pee-pee. And there's this clip online where he's like talking about how he was trying rubbing creams and stuff on it. And then one of his friends was like, "Why don't you try this like woman's face cream?" And he's like, "Oh, my mom used to use that on her lips, and you want me to put it on my donger?" And everybody's like, this just got so weird and awkward. So it's just like the fact that he said he was going to put the face cream that his mom put on her lips, and he was going to put it on his like frostbitten dink.
Yeah, like Freudianly, in his mind, he was
Yeah.
like, now my mother's lips are on my penis. Wait,
He's like, "I never got a kick at that whole royal inbred thing."
yeah.
I had to go
Is
get
it too
this.
soon? Is it too soon to speak ill of Diana like that? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
a weird thing.
Yeah.
The weird
But
thing to disclose with zero prompting whatsoever.
I don't know. Every time I hear like weird stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's the royals. Like everything Harry and Meghan say, the only thing I say is like, yeah, they're the royal family. Like, what'd you
Yeah,
expect?
it's true. Well,
Like
you're
when-
like, particularly with the like actual royal, like not Meghan because she married into it, but like the
Yeah.
actual royals, you're probably like, you have never in your life learned how like actual people speak.
Oh, exactly.
Or, like you've just never been exposed to that.
Yeah. Or when Meghan was like, yeah, they're actually pretty racist. And you're like, yeah, it's the royal
Yeah.
family. Did you see what they did for the last 500 years to the world?
Yes,
Like they Europe invented racism.
they did. The British royals
British, yeah.
specifically. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, especially the ones that came over from Germany and are all cousins with
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah. all
Yeah, bro.
yeah.
Wait, I wanted to talk about this other thing before we argue about Peterson too. The how Biden had classified
Oh, dude,
files like
did you
stashed
hear
in
they
his fucking
just
garage or
found
something?
more?
Fucking idiot.
So they
Here's-
found nearly 10 is what they're going to say. They can't count to 10 apparently. They're like, we found nearly 10 files. I'm like, okay. Kind of odd that he made so much fun of Trump and now he has some. And one thing people are hung up on was that they found these in before the midterm elections and they just brought it out like a week ago. They're like, oh hey, we found these files. But there's like and the thing was originally they didn't find the files. What they did was they found reports from in 2017 when somebody on Biden's team was like, "Oh yeah, we have these classified files in the back office." So they found like the journal entry or whatever from 2017 in November or whatever before the midterm elections, but they waited until January after the elections and they're like, "Hey, we have these files. Sorry, here they are. You should take them. We knew about them 5 years ago, but we didn't say anything." And then they're like, "Okay." And then it's kind of vague because it's like they say sometimes they're saying that like Biden's lawyers are looking for them or he's accompanying the people who are looking for him. But they found files 3 different times and the first 2 times were in his office. Is it Penn State where his office is from when he was
uh,
vice pres?
is it like Penn State, the university?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, maybe.
Anyways, I don't know where it is, but he has like an office at a university, and that's where they found the first 2 files. The first times they found files, and the third time, the one you're talking about, was they were at his home in his garage. Did you hear the sound clip?
No, I didn't hear the clip.
Oh, I gotta find it. If I find it, I'll put it in. I'll edit it in here and get booted or whatever. But it's hilarious because he's like, "Yeah, they're in my garage beside my Corvette." They're like, "Okay, is that a safe spot to keep them?" He's like, "Yeah, that's where I keep my Corvette." Because apparently he has some fucking hot ass Corvette that was on Jay Leno's garage. And he's like super proud of it, and he has all these files. And it's funny because I was listening to a podcast talking about this today and I hadn't known that they had found files with his car. And I saw all these memes about his Corvette stuffed with files. And I was like, I don't get this meme. And then I found out and it just fell into place.
And that like, yeah, like it's just fucking. If you are a person who like flipped out about Trump's files and then you're like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna keep it under, or I'm just like not gonna flip out, or I'm gonna excuse that Biden did it, or you're a person who excused when Trump did it and now you're fucking like going hard at Biden for it, you're a fucking idiot. And the culture war has punched holes
Yeah.
in your brain.
Oh, no,
Because they're
exactly.
both fucking like it's a stupid thing to do on fucking both of their parts, and they're both
Oh,
morons
yeah.
for it, and they should both face some kind of sanctions for that, so that we're not
Yeah.
just like letting high-ranking government officials who are clearly both inept, bubbling morons. And here's another lesson: stop electing people who are like 70 plus and senile to fucking run your fucking country, because I'm sure younger people know to not
Yeah.
just be like, oh, classified documents, gonna leave in my garage next to my Corvette.
Yeah.
You dumb
And
fucks.
I guess the one difference everybody should point out is that Biden is surrendering these willfully and is like, hey, here's some more. Whereas Trump was like, I don't have those. Everybody has them. It's my right to have them. And he like tried to like keep people away from getting them from Mar-a-Lago. So FBI actually had to go and raid Mar-a-Lago to get them back.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
just,
only difference I would
that's
say.
mostly just on brand for Trump.
But also, if Trump hadn't done this, like if they hadn't found the ones at Trump and the FBI hadn't raided them, how willing would Biden be to give these up? Like you could say that it's like the second child thing where it's like the first child goes and blazes a trail and gets in shit and grounded all the time. And then when the second child comes along, like, all right, the first child did this, he didn't do anything too bad. Whereas like Biden saw what happened to Trump and how he tried to resist and then got raided by the FBI. And he's like, all right, let's just give them to him. Let's give them nearly 10 files before they kick our door in.
Yeah.
Whereas if the whole thing with Trump hadn't happened, how resistant would Biden be?
I don't. He's like a zillion years old, so probably not that.
Actually, I
resistant.
don't even think they would have found these if the thing happened with Trump, because after it happened with Trump, Biden's team were like, all right, we better look to see if we have any.
You know what they
Because-
should actually? Every fucking former president who's still living should probably go explore their residencies for classified files, because I'm sure they're
Oh,
fucking
dude.
out there.
That might happen. Oh yeah, and my joke was, why didn't Biden keep his laptop beside his Corvette if it's such a safe place?
Got him.
Do you want to talk about Jordan Peterson now, or are you
No,
out of
now
time?
we're gonna have to do it the next episode, because
Okay.
I got lots to say about this fucking
Now, everybody
story.
knows how much you hate Jordan Peterson, but
I hate-
at the same time, like I like Jordan Peterson more than you do, but I don't give him a pass for everything, and he does say smart stuff once in a while. But I think the Ontario Psychiatry Board with this is way overstepping their bounds.
I don't think they are, for very specific reasons that I will go into.
Oh,
But the story that
teaser for
Jordan
next episode.
the story that Jordan Peterson's telling about why he's being censured, it's for like, oh, for criticizing Justin Trudeau. It's like, that's not why they're doing it, you Kermit the Frog sounding motherfucker. Like, he has made problematic statements specifically pertaining to people's identity or mental health. And it
Mhm.
has nothing to do with his political beliefs, even though he will trip over his own dick framing it that way. Anyway, we'll tune in next episode where we'll talk about it then. Yeah, but until then, hey, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks, of course, to our guest, Jeremy Baker. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeremy_Baker. Is it all one word? Just Jeremy Baker.
Let me see.
It's something. You can
Yeah,
follow
it's
me.
Jeremy_Baker.
Jeremy_Baker. I've been your co-host, Derek Bolin. You can follow me at Herder.
I've been your other co-host, Dale DeRuiter. You can follow me at SuperDalebot. You can follow the podcast Twitter at Outragefactorypod. If you want to send us some feedback at Gmail at I always get used to saying at first, but it's outragefactpod at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
If you're watching this on YouTube and you do comment, I will see it because I run the YouTube page or whatever. So if you comment somewhere, I will most likely see it. You can, if you're watching this on Facebook, you can just comment beside the video and I'll see it.
Wherever you're liking it, smash that like button, or wherever you're watching it, smash that like button. And if you are listening to this through the traditional podcast format in your ear holes, please rate, review, and subscribe.
And share with your friends. Like,
tell
use
all your
the
friends.
Share hyperlink thing because that all helps us a lot.
Tell all your friends.
Thank you in advance.
And until next week,
Stay angry.